All right, welcome back. Jerry Smitko, Houma-based attorney, and David Ordway, Thibodeau-based attorney, were both the attorneys for Kyle Faulk in the federal lawsuit which took place this week in New Orleans. Let's show the judge if we can. Jay, judges always never get any publicity in these Bayou time things, so let's get a pit. There he is, Judge Jay Zaney, U.S. District Judge, Eastern District of Louisiana, Division A. Let's talk about the judge a little bit. Tough guy, runs a pretty good courtroom, doesn't he?
Certainly does. He certainly does. But he, you know, it was a good experience in that even though he runs a tight ship, he's really a very friendly fellow.
I noticed that.
And very considerate towards the litigants and the jurors. So he made it a good experience.
Yeah, we won't name names, and unless you talk in the courtroom and fool with your phone, he don't like that too much. He plays by the rules. But it is a different experience. I've covered a lot of trials on the local level, and it's a different playing field. Not that the judges are any less competent on a local level, it's just the atmosphere is
Yes.
much different. All right, let's talk about the compensatory amount that the jury came back with for mental anguish and things of that nature, $75,000. The punitive, the punishment part of this was $275,000. So when the jury went to deliberate and they got all that information, they obviously sat down and said a punishment needs to be issued because. Explain why that was important to you all.
Well, the whole purpose of punitive damages in a federal case like this, well, in any case, is to deter that defendant from continuing in the course of action that brought us to court. In this particular case, I touched on this earlier, and you said you were in the courtroom, so you may have seen and heard some of this testimony. In this particular case, not only did he do it in the past, the chief, take this retaliatory actions in the past. He told at least 4 witnesses who each testified to this that I'm not going to tell you to lie once you get on that witness stand, but boy, I certainly hope you forget the truth or forget some things, I think is the words he used. He takes a next step. He tells a particular officer, he says, whenever this case is over, Kyle Faulk's going to pay. Then he tells his own witness, once this is over, I'm coming back to home and I'm breaking up this clip. So it was clear through the testimony of the witnesses we put on the stand, the witnesses the chief put on the stand, that the retaliatory acts, his intentions to continue to penalize people, were going to continue without those punitive damages being awarded. And
there was one other comment that hit me that I thought the jury reacted on was the "get off your knees, boy" statement.
Well, that statement was critical for 2 reasons. And the first, the chief denied that being placed in Corps Patrol was ever punishment. However, whenever he took people out of Corps Patrol, you know, he'd take one out to put another in to punish that person. He'd say, hey, you ready to get off your knees, boy? And it wasn't one officer who testified to that. It was that officer's superior officer, the person whose command he was moving into. He overheard the comment as well, and it was said more than one time. So I think, you know, the chief clearly knew by that statement, the chief clearly knew that it was punishment. He clearly stated he was using it as punishment. And the jurors didn't like it.
And before, go ahead, Jim.
I think, you know, I said before I was shocked by the punitive damage award. I was very, very happy with it. But we drove that home to the jury in the sense that because of all these statements that the chief made, you have to stop him. You have to make it big enough to send a clear message that this type of behavior won't be tolerated. And you have to do it not just for Kyle Faulk, but for the entire Houma Police Department, for all those folks that put themselves on the line by getting on that witness stand and telling the truth. And honestly, when in closing arguments, we ask the jury for a certain amount in damages. And for punitives, we gave them a range. And that range was between 100 and 300,000. I was shocked that they came back so close to our top number. But truly, we felt it was a just verdict because hopefully it's going to accomplish what we want, is to have a department that's free from this type of retaliation.
Which also sent a message in it, just sort of, I had a sense that they came back and said, what y'all had spelled out in the punishment, that's close to the top of what you did. So they must have thought it was serious enough to really punish at that point. And I want to bring up David Allen's picture too, and to sit here because obviously with the appeal process and all, he cannot appear on the program, and we really didn't expect he would because he's still going through decision making and this and that. I got to be fair to him. That's a tough case to have if you're David Allen with all those witnesses coming up and your guys getting told on by all these officers at one point, and I'm sure y'all probably been in cases where you feel it's caving in. He had a tough case.
He had a very tough case. I think David is a very good attorney, very good trial attorney. I thought he was, very professional. And it's hard whenever you lose. I don't ever want to take the blame. Whenever we win, we always want to take all the credit.
Right.
The truth of the matter is, if you're an attorney, facts drive a case. We do very little to influence it. And I think David did a great job with what he had. Just, I think the deck was stacked against him.
Mm-hmm. Now, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk more about what kind of precedents does this set, and what kind of, or other police chiefs in other areas looking at this ruling and going, whoa, I was doing some of that. Better rethink how I do things, and does it open up the Pandora's box for other suits of this nature? What does this do to the playing field? We'll talk about that when we come back.